What's for dinner tonight? As something approached me, saying that. I, who no longer even considered it human, didn't respond. I quickly washed the dishes and headed to the bedroom, intending to go to bed. Hey, Emily, what's wrong? That annoying something followed me, nagging as I went. Annoyed, I ignored it and went into the bedroom, closing the door behind me. I have my part-time work tomorrow and need to get to bed early. I have no time to deal with that nuisance. Emily, I don't know what you're mad about, but don't ignore me. Something was pestering me with a somewhat frantic voice. As usual, it was so annoying, but I was living my life as normal. I don't know what you did, but it's probably your fault, right? Kevin was talking to that nuisance, but I didn't care. At most, I marvel at how he even bothers to talk. That's the extent of my feelings. To me, it's just a nuisance. I said with a smile. I'm Emily, a 36-year-old housewife working part-time. I have a husband named John and a son named Kevin. I met him when I was in college. As I started college, I moved to New York and lived alone. Please. We really need one more person. Okay, I get it. But I might not talk much, you know? He was at the mixer. I was dragged to by a college friend to make up numbers. Emily, you okay? Tired? Being from a small town, I barely spoke, not wanting to embarrass myself. He kindly spoke to me, making me laugh with his interesting stories. Because of that, I relaxed and started to feel attracted to him. Hey, Emily. Would you mind exchanging contacts? I'd love to talk to you more. So, when he asked me at the end of the mixer, I was thrilled. And I immediately told my best friend, Lisa, about it. That's great, I want a boyfriend too. He's not my boyfriend yet. Lisa has been my best friend since kindergarten, and we share everything. She has a delicate and cute appearance, always being called cute by those around her. With your looks, Lisa, you'll find a boyfriend in no time, right? I'm tired of being called cute. I'm not interested in anyone who can't see beyond that. Despite her demure appearance, she always spoke her mind quite straightforwardly. Because of this trait, she sometimes found herself isolated from others. But I've always liked her for that. Anyway, congratulations. Let me meet him when I go to New York. Of course. She didn't pursue further education, opting instead to work in her hometown to follow her dreams. Because of that, meeting up wasn't so straightforward. Still, just talking every day was enough for me. John and I started dating after several dates and his confession. Everything went smoothly, and we got married right after I graduated. John, I think I'm pregnant. Really? Well done, Emily. I was working as an office assistant, but then I got pregnant with Kevin. After being asked by John to become a full-time housewife, I quit my job. A few years later, when Kevin started elementary school and became less dependent. I'm thinking of starting a part-time job. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. It must be boring to be at home alone while Kevin is at school. After discussing it with John, I began working part-time. Although I struggled with returning to work after such a long break, I now enjoy it. It was during such ordinary and peaceful days that. Hey, Emily, don't monopolize the boys too much. I received a somewhat angry message from my mother-in-law one day. To summarize, she complained about not having seen John and Kevin recently. She didn't want to see me, so she demanded that only the two of them visit her. I see. I'll pass the message on to John then. My mother-in-law, Kate, adores her only son, John, and her grandson, Kevin, to the point of spoiling them. On the other hand, she seems to see me as the villain who stole her precious son. After you gave birth to the heir, you became useless to me. She even boldly said such a thing to me. My father-in-law, on the other hand, has always maintained a stance of indifference. Whether I'm being scolded by her or chased out of their house, he wouldn't even glance my way. Kevin, you are so smart. Truly worthy of being the heir. However, he seems to be interested only in Kevin. He dotes on him along with her. I'm the only one not accepted in that house. If that's the case, I should be the one to endure it. I'm home. How are your day? Hey, do you have any plans with your friends this weekend? Not really. I'd rather hang out with Dad if anything. Kevin responded while washing his hands. When I mentioned to him, Grandma wants you to come over and visit, his expression instantly turned awkward. I decided to ask him more about it. It's just, those two, they treat me like a baby. According to him, they think as long as they give him snacks and toys, they can do whatever they want with him. They don't let him be free, just wanting to dote on him. I was surprised by how calmly he, still a child, expressed this. If I have to go, I'd rather visit Grandma on your side. I couldn't help but smile wryly at his words. My parents live in a distant countryside, so we can't visit them often. It's a once a year, if even, occurrence. I'll talk to Dad when he gets back. He nodded in understanding and returned to his room to do his homework. As I watched him go, I pondered how to discuss this with John. John, a manager at a large corporation, often comes home late due to his busy schedule. Even today, he came back after Kevin had gone to bed. Your mother said to bring Kevin over next time, without me, of course. He looked displeased as I brought this up. It seems he finds her doting somewhat annoying. I've got a business trip this weekend, so I can't go. While surprised by the sudden news, it wasn't the first time. So I simply replied, "Oh, is that so? Because of the business trip, we won't be able to visit them." However, the thought of having to call and explain this to her, given her persistence, is daunting. So, he seemed displeased. Well, she won't be satisfied unless I say it myself. I'll call her later. Thanks, I appreciate it. There's a chance she might just show up here, so could you maybe go out with Kevin, just in case? I pondered over his words for a moment. He's supposed to be leaving for a business trip on Friday. If that's the case, and Kevin also wants it, maybe it's a good idea to visit my parents' house. After discussing it with Kevin, we decided to head to their house right after he got back from school. Yay! I'm so happy I get to see Grandpa and Grandma there. His face lit up with joy. For his smile, I can endure calling her. Seeing him so happy made me think that. A few days after spending the weekend at my parents' house. It's been a while, Emily. Do you have time to listen to a bit of my rant? Yeah, sure. One day, I got a call from Lisa. Ideally, she'd like to meet on a day when I'm off from my part-time job, but it might be difficult if she's coming from the countryside. As I was thinking about how to arrange it. Actually, I've moved to New York and I'm here now. She surprised me with that news. It turns out, Lisa lives not too far from my area. So, we decided to meet at a nearby cafe. You should have told me sooner. I said as soon as we met at the cafe, to which Lisa smiled. Sorry, I've been so busy with starting my own business. It seems she finally started her own business about 10 years ago. Since then, she's been busy stabilizing her business performance. And I hear childcare is tough. I didn't want to impose. You shouldn't worry about it. Emily, you're too kind. You'd sacrifice your own convenience for others. If I said I wanted to meet, you'd try to make it happen. Even if it's tough for you. That's why I couldn't just bring it up. I smiled bitterly at her words. She hit the nail on the head. So, what's the rant about? It's about my boyfriend. Apparently, she's been dating this boyfriend for 10 years. They even spent last weekend together at her place. We talked about marriage then. But he didn't agree. And that's not the only thing she's unhappy about. Wait, he has a kid? Yeah, that's not a problem for me. Single parents are common these days. It turns out he is a single father with a 10-year-old son. However, he hasn't introduced her to his son. I really want to move forward with our marriage talks, considering our age. I at least want to meet his son. Did you tell him that? Of course, but he keeps saying eventually and it never goes anywhere. She seemed serious about this. She wants to move forward because they're seriously dating. I could tell that's how she felt. By the way, what's this boyfriend like? He's a gentleman. He works as a manager at a big company nearby. His son's name is Kevin, I think. At those words, I felt a jolt. The description she gave of her boyfriend matched John exactly. He did say he was going on a business trip over the weekend. I hadn't thought much of it before, but is it normal to have sudden business trips on weekends, which are typically days off? With that thought in mind, I desperately tried not to show my anxiety as I asked Lisa. "What's his name?" "John," she said. Hearing that, I fell silent. It was almost certain, given that all the characteristics matched. "Emily? What's wrong?" "It's nothing," I replied. I couldn't bring myself to share my thoughts with her. I was afraid of causing a rift in my relationships with John and Lisa. How could this happen? From then on, I was lost in thought. Could it be that they were having an affair? But Lisa believes John is a single father. Is he deceiving her, or is she lying? The more I dwelled on it, the more my mood sank. How did the two of them even meet in the first place? As I was pondering this, I received a call from Kate. "Emily, you're no longer needed," she said. "What?" "Give up your custody of Kevin and divorce John. He already has someone better suited for him." Those words hit me like a physical blow. The image of Lisa came to mind. She's a lady of such elegance that you could never compare. It must be about her. She continued to press on while I remained silent. She would make a better mother for my grandson. Withdraw for Lisa's sake. She thinks John is single and your existence is in the way. Listening to her, something inside me broke. And what flashed through my mind were John's actions up to this point. Mom expects a lot from you. That's why she sometimes speaks harshly. He never once defended me from the insults hurled by Kate. Childcare is supposed to be your duty as a stay-at-home mom, right? He barely participated in household chores or childcare. I'm home. Try not to upset Mom too much, okay? Even when I was kicked out of his parents' house, he didn't contact me and casually returned the next day. Recalling his actions that I had endured despite feeling uncomfortable, I suddenly felt my affection for him waning. And on top of everything, he deceived my dear friend and betrayed me. This isn't something a human does. And so, I could no longer see John as a human being. That changed my perception of him. As usual, I made dinner, and after Kevin went to bed, I started washing the dishes. "I'm home," a voice said at that moment. At that moment, I heard a voice. That voice belonged to something that entered the living room. "What's for dinner tonight?" As it approached me, saying that, I, who no longer even saw it as human, didn't respond. Then I quickly washed the dishes and headed to the bedroom to go to sleep. Hey, Emily? What's wrong?" That noisy something followed me, nagging. Annoyed, I ignored it and went into the bedroom, closing the door behind me. I have my part-time work tomorrow and need to get to bed early. I have no time to deal with that nuisance. After that, I continued to ignore the noisy something. Meals were prepared only for Kevin and me. Laundry left by that something remained untouched. I went about my chores as usual, paying no attention to the nuisance. "Emily, I don't know what you're mad about, but don't ignore me." Something tangled with me with a somewhat frantic voice. As usual, it was so annoying, but I was living my life as normal. "I don't know what you did, but it's probably your fault anyway." "What?" "I didn't do anything." "It's all Emily, one-sidedly." "It doesn't matter. I'm on Mom's side." Kevin was talking to that nuisance, but I didn't care. At most, I marvel at how he even bothers to talk. That's the extent of my feelings. "Mom, I'll help." "So, you rest." "Thank you, Kevin." I couldn't help but adore him, who was always concerned about me. Smiling at such a sweet Kevin. This can't go on. It's bad for his upbringing. I'll set up a time for us to talk. Suddenly, that something declared. Ignoring the something that started contacting someone, I continued with my chores as usual. Then, I'll call Grandpa and Grandma on Mom's side. Kevin, sensing my crisis, called my parents in response to the nuisance's actions. And so, a meeting was set up between our family and that group of nuisances. "How dare you ignore John? Who do you think you are?" A hysterical shout from something arrogant. I couldn't perceive her as anything but a nuisance. "Before we start talking, there's someone else I'd like to call." "Eh?" My father said that and contacted someone on his mobile phone. Responding to that call was, "How dare you deceive both me and Emily?" It was my best friend, Lisa. She glared at the startled nuisance. "Why is she here?" As I wondered, my father explained. "A few days ago, Kevin told me something was wrong with you. So, I had a detective I know look into it. As a result, it was discovered that a certain John and Lisa were in a relationship. When he asked her, it became clear that she too had been deceived by something. It seems she was contacted because a meeting was suddenly arranged. And that's why she showed up today, ready to confront the situation. Of all people, to be involved with my best friend Emily's husband." "Calm down, Lisa. Don't you dare address me so casually. You're in on this too, aren't you?" Then her torrent of confessions began. Lisa met that noisy something through a dating app, it seems. They met there, and on their first meeting, that something told her he was a single father with a child. "And yet you had the audacity to say you wanted to marry me if I was okay with that. I thought you were sincere. But you're just the worst kind of man." "Well, that is..." Stared down by Lisa, that something mumbled and stumbled over his words. It seems he couldn't find any words to counter. "So, you pretended to be someone else to get close to Lisa? Were you planning to take only Kevin if things went south?" "Well, I suppose she would have made a fuss if you had to give up Kevin." My mother muttered that. I could sense her simmering anger. "Emily, I'm truly sorry. I had no idea John was your husband," Lisa said. I smiled warmly at her. "Don't worry about it. As far as I'm concerned, I no longer have a husband." I noticed the noisy something startle at my words. Pointing at that noisy something? "To me, that's just a nuisance," I said with a smile. Lisa looked shocked at my words. But then she quickly murmured, "Ah. I've always been known to be kind to those around me. I've always lent a hand when someone was in trouble and given in during arguments. I thought it was okay for me to bear the burden. I could endure more than others. If that made everyone happy, then it was fine. That was my belief. You're kind and always endure, but when you reach your limit, you become scarier than anyone." I could see the confusion in their faces at her words. And she gave them a cold look. "You've been taking advantage of her kindness all this time, making her endure so much." Then, there was a tipping point that brought her to her limit. She reached a point where she could no longer recognize you as a human being. She explained this on my behalf. And she's right. I've come to think of him and my in-laws as nothing more than a nuisance. I can no longer see you as human. "So, you're ignoring me because of that?" At my words, the nuisance said in a trembling voice. "That's cruel, isn't it? What are you talking about? If what Mom did was bad, doesn't that make your actions up to now even worse?" At that moment, Kevin, who was supposed to be in another room, showed his face. And the nuisance muttered, "What are you talking about?" "Because Dad, you ignored Mom when she was in trouble, didn't you?" "That's not." "Then why were you laughing when Grandma was yelling at Mom? Even when she was kicked out, you were just drinking with Grandpa. Despite me repeatedly asking you to help Mom, you did nothing." Kevin ran up to me and glared at the nuisance in front of us. "You were the first one to start ignoring, wasn't he?" "That's..." At that moment, Lisa stroked Kevin's head. Her eyes praised Kevin, as if to say, "Well said. So this is how Emily has been treated all this time. I understand very well now. How could you treat someone's daughter like that? Don't worry, Emily. We'll make sure to get child support from him for you." Lisa and my mother glared at the nuisance. Then, my father said, "I can't leave my precious daughter with a man like you. Sign this. I want to make things right with Emily. Even after seeing my daughter, who can no longer recognize you as human." The nuisance started trembling. I felt his gaze on me from time to time, but it must have been my imagination. "This ingrate. Kevin is our precious heir. You're not taking him with you." "Heir? What do you even have in your family? Shouldn't his wishes be the priority anyway?" The woman was ranting, but Mom shut her down. The men seemed to be kept at bay by Dad's glare. Not stopping your wife's actions, not even trying to look. How pathetic for a man. I had no choice. She wouldn't listen to me. Kevin, you'd prefer to be with me, right? In response to the woman, Kevin gripped my hand and glared. I don't want to be treated like a little kid. I want to be with Mom. He declared firmly. When did he become so dependable? I stroked his head. Emily. I'm sorry. After that, he and I didn't exchange words. To me, his existence was like it wasn't even there. All I felt was the nuisance quieting down. Mom? Yes? What kind of person was Dad in your heart? Kevin asked, and I looked around. The husband in my heart was no longer there, and it took me a moment to even remember. Well, he was selfish, I guess. Selfish. So, you don't like him anymore? How can I like someone who doesn't exist in this world? At my words, I thought I heard someone cry. But I felt nothing seeing it. I'm really sorry. I didn't realize I had driven you to this point. It's too late for regrets. I hate you and everyone else who bullied Mom to this extent. At those words, the woman screamed. Stop yelling. You're really annoying. She told the nuisance with annoyance. John. I truly loved you and was serious about our marriage and children. Lisa. That's why I will never forgive you for this. Never show your face to Emily or me again. The nuisance mumbled an acknowledgement, head bowed, at Lisa's words. After that, the nuisance who was once my husband and I divorced. I was going to return to my parents' home, where they told me to take a break for a while. Of course, Kevin would be with me. I'll never forgive you. I'll make sure to squeeze every penny out of you. Lisa seemed to have arranged with the lawyer, Owen, to claim child support on my behalf. She apologized to me for everything that happened. I'm really sorry. I ended up destroying your family. So, don't apologize so much. Lisa, you did nothing wrong. It makes me wonder why she was dating him without any questions in the first place. It was simply because she didn't know the person I was married to. When I was dating him, she was still in our hometown, so I never bothered to introduce them. It's not like we didn't meet because I didn't talk about it much. And I didn't ask much about it either. The wedding was a small affair, just close family. At that time, she was busy with her startup and couldn't make it to meet him. That's why she didn't know what my husband looked like or his name. And then I enthusiastically used a dating app, only to end up like this. She said this with a wry smile. None of this was her fault. Despite that, she apologized sincerely and repeatedly. Well, how about in exchange for forgiveness, you remain my best friend from now on? Of course. I should be the one asking you. She said, and I smiled at her. She, with tears in her eyes, nodded in agreement. Our friendship remained unchanged. Meanwhile, the person who was John couldn't gain custody and returned to his parents' home. Rumors started circulating that he had cheated with his wife's best friend, leaving him with no place to go, and he eventually quit his job. I heard he's now cooped up at his parents' home. What's utterly unforgivable is that he started using the dating app because you got pregnant. According to Lisa, he resorted to cheating because I was pregnant. Being pregnant meant I couldn't attend to him as before, and he used that as an excuse to indulge in affairs. Certainly, that's inexcusable. Emily, don't you feel angry towards John? Yeah, I still can't even recognize this John human being. It seems this incident has taken a significant toll on my mental health. I still can't see them as human beings. The doctor told me not to rush and to heal slowly. Kevin told me. You were treated terribly by your in-laws. He apparently felt frustrated every time he saw me being mistreated by them. He felt helpless because he was a child and couldn't protect his mother. Maybe that's why he matured faster than his peers. Maybe that's why he's been a bit clingy lately. Oh, that's adorable. Now, he holds my hand wherever we go. And when I pat his head, he giggles, which is just adorable. Even so, he's declared that from now on, he'll be the one to protect me and he wants to start learning wrestling. Really, Kevin is so manly. I wish I had a boyfriend like him. She said this, her spirits dipping. Being deceived this time might have been partly because she was feeling rushed, with me getting married and pregnant. We need to hone our ability to judge men better. Ha, I'm rooting for you. I haven't told her yet, but I received a message from the people who were once my in-laws. The message demanded that we send Kevin over. It seems they are still fixated on the idea of him being the heir. I'm not an heir. I don't want to inherit anything from those people. Thanks to Kevin's firm stance, they became disheartened and stopped contacting us. Seeing how reliable he has become, I've realized I need to change too. Not just enduring, but gaining the strength to confront issues head-on. That's what I've decided. Emily, I heard you're going to start working. Yes, I'm going to give it my all starting today. After taking a break from my part-time job to fully rest my mind and body, with the doctor's permission, I decided to start working. Even with child support, it's important for me to provide for Kevin. So, you're going to work as an office clerk, right? That's right. Owen offered me the position. I'm going to work at the law office of Owen, who has been very helpful during this time. Owen has been keeping an eye on me and regularly visits. Through this connection, I ended up working at his place. Somehow, thinking about starting work makes me feel excited. Surely, working full-time will demand different tasks from me than my part-time job did. Still, the idea of starting something new has me excited. It's a shame, though. I wanted to hire you. But he got you first. She said this with a slightly pouty smile. I had thought she would definitely hire me. But I wanted a change. Staying with Lisa might make me too dependent on her. So, I decided to take Owen's offer to avoid that. By the way, you know, John's parents' house was sold recently. Apparently, the in-laws, who had pushed all the blame onto John, forcefully kicked him out even though he was a shut-in. However, the neighbors caught the whole scene. Already viewed as a family that harassed their daughter-in-law, they became even more disliked for kicking out their beloved son. Unable to bear the disdain, they sold the house and fled. Well, in the end, they messed up wherever they went, and now they're reportedly homeless. Ultimately, his in-laws couldn't change. That probably led to the dire outcome of becoming homeless. As for John, he seems to have disappeared. Actually, I know where he is. Afterwards, a letter from him arrived at our house. Initially, I couldn't bring myself to open it, but after recovering, I finally read it the other day. I truly am sorry. That's why I will live my life just for Kevin's child support, out of your sight, the letter said. Including a photo of John taken at an international airport. He seems to be planning to struggle alone in a foreign land where no one knows him and he doesn't speak the language. Do you know anything, Emily? No, I don't know anything. He might be cornered just like I was. But it's no longer my concern. And so, I decided to forget about John. Mom, are you done talking? Yes, we're done. Then help me with my homework. There's something I don't understand. Kevin said this as he pulled my hand. To protect this child's smile, I don't have time to dwell on John. After that, Owen and I got into a good relationship, and we started dating. Kevin also became attached to him, who always respects my decisions. When you're with him, Mom, you really look happy when you smile. That's why I'm happy too. Kevin told me this, and he also thanked him for making me smile. I was so moved that I almost cried with him. By the way, he continues to practice wrestling. His desire to protect me has now turned into a desire to protect others. I want to become a police officer who helps people in trouble, just like Mom. With that in mind, he is diligently working towards his dream. On the other hand, it seems that Lisa has finally found her happiness. Actually, one of my classmates confessed to me. This classmate is someone I also know, and it seems he has liked Lisa since high school. But back then, she was out of his league. So, he decided to work hard until he felt worthy of her. And it seems he came to see her after hearing her story. Hee, that's wonderful. Yes. I'll make sure to find happiness this time. And of course, you have to be happy too, Emily. Yes, of course. This time, we will both strive to truly find happiness. We made that promise to each other. By the way, you've really started to smile genuinely. Yeah. I've decided not to hold back like before. It's made things a lot easier. That's good to hear. I've learned something from my experiences with John, too. I thought it was enough if only I made sacrifices. That mindset ended up worrying Kevin as well. For the sake of my dear child, I'll limit my sacrifices and aim for happiness. With that in mind, I embarked on a new chapter in my life.